Hello and welcome to the second class in the Light and Love Tarot Summit. My name is Tiffany Crosara and today I have Lytle. I'm
You got it.
Thank you, Laurie, here with us, and I can't wait. I think it's going to be a really incredible session. So thank you very much for joining live. I'm going to tell you why it's going to be a really incredible session in a moment, but just wanted to say thank you very much for joining live because it really adds to the energy, and I think particularly for what Laurie is going to be bringing to the table for us today. We do want it to be interactive from the get-go and from the start. Do feel free to put whatever you want to put within reason in the chat box, and I will get round to it at the end. So I might not be able to do both at one time, so don't feel ignored. We will get back to you at the end with the Q&A. This does mean please put it in context. If you put something like can you clarify that, please, or this, or you don't really spell it out, by the time I get back to it, I might have no idea what you're talking about. So please do, spell out clearly what it is that you would like help with. We will be doing Q&A live at the end. And for those of you that stay on until the end, you will also get Laurie's Tarot Talisman meditation, magical meditation. I did this yesterday, Laurie, and I have to say it was amazing. I don't know the name of the big statue I think it's Brazil. There's a very big statue, a massive statue. Anyway, he came through as the guy. It was like the power was incredible. So if anybody knows that name of that statue in Brazil, then put it in the chat box. I would love to know. Also, if you know that what you would like to manifest from today, because Laurie is going to be taking us through a tarot spread to help us get clear on what to manifest. And she's also going to be talking to us about amulets and talismans and what they are and how you can bring ceremony and sacred ritual into your tarot practice, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. And this is something that Laurie shines at because she's just confessed to me that she is a reverend. And I mean, gosh, it makes much sense, right? When the ceremony and the ritual side is something that Laurie is really oozes from her. So with no further ado, Laurie, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hey, hi, Tiffany. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It is really exciting. I've been really looking forward to connecting with you.
Me too.
And we're going to do a little intro on your story, and I'm sure it will connect with a lot of people here on the webinar. When I heard it, I was like, yeah, I get that. And it's also going to be really inspiring for people because I'm sure there's a lot of people that maybe think that they can't do what we've done, i.e. live in, this type of career, this type of way of living, is not really acceptable, or there's not really that thing, that structure, that job. So I think your story is going to be really, really inspiring for people. You're also going to talk to us about what you're doing at the Light and Love Tarot Reading Festival, which sounds awesome. And you're going to give us a little bit of that magic in a way today.
Yes.
And okay, so let's start from the top. So you have been in tarot all your life. How did it first come to you?
Oh, well, thank you for asking, because I always wish that I had an exotic backstory to share, that it was a family lineage or something. But as far as I know, no one in my family reads the cards. I mean, I haven't discovered anyone. I discovered the tarot by myself in a really wonderful New Age store here in Toronto when I was about 13 or so. I had no background of what it was, and I was just so drawn to it. I bought myself my own first deck and got, a nice box and a bag and started secretly working with them from then on.
Amazing. Okay, so it was just you stumbled across this store one day. Did you say when you
Yeah.
were 13?
Around 13 or so, yeah. And this store unfortunately doesn't exist in Toronto anymore, but it was this magical place that my sister and I used to like to go when we were kids. And they had
Hmm.
wonderful readers throughout the store behind lacy
Uh-huh.
curtains and dusty shelves with boxes of tarot cards and books. Because you and I were talking about this before, but when I was about 13, you couldn't just go online and order yourself a tarot deck, right?
No.
It
Yeah.
was nothing like it is now. But so something pulled me just in all of the wonderful offerings that they had at this magical place. It was the tarot, the cards
Mm.
that just sucked me in. And I've been carrying them around and reading them ever since.
Mm. Ever since. So there was never a time where you thought, actually, no, I'm going to stop this. It's just been a part all the
Yeah,
time.
and it's a funny thing, Tiffany, because this is sort of in line with some of the other work I'm doing with the tarot. But for me, when I first started reading, I would have rather died than told anybody else that I was into the cards. It was the thing,
Wow.
and because I'm a
Hmm.
real introvert, like a very empath introvert, so I
Mm.
carried those cards around with me. I didn't tell anyone I read them. I seriously would have rather crawled in a hole than read for someone else for many years. And there's a lot of reasons for that, I think, that I've come to discover later. But so I've always read for myself since that time. But then later on, as I got older and more proficient and more confident, then it became very natural to read for other people. But it was a big leap of faith for me to open up to the world that I do this, and that I love it, right? And to do it
Mm.
as something professionally, like that was crazy. No, who does that? It didn't even occur to me as a viable action until all of a sudden it did, and it is.
Mm.
Right?
'Cause you've
Mm-hmm.
had a bit of a journey with that.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so from 13 until what age was it that you finally went, actually, no, I've just been hit over the head too many times and I
Yeah.
have to do this
Yeah.
professionally?
Well, it's a funny thing because it was sort of like, it was a series of circumstances where uh, the universe was sending me messages that I should be doing this, not necessarily professionally, but doing it, like putting it out there, reading for other people, because universe was sending me little signs over the years. And I didn't listen because I was, I don't know,
Mm.
introverted and scared to do it. And also liked having a regular paycheck, that kind of thing.
That's the
But
other thing, huh?
so the
Yeah.
universe kept amping those messages up and up and up and up. So what became a whisper or a little poke or a little whisper became a huge kick in the pants in the form of a terrible job that I took a job that I knew wasn't right for me, but I thought, that's what you do and you have security. And I lasted there a very short time and had a full tower moment where I marched in my boss's office and told them what they could do with the job. And then after that, I thought, what am I doing? What am I doing? I should be doing tarot. So from that point, so I've been reading tarot professionally now for about, like full-time professionally for about 5 years now.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so from the age of 13 until 5 years, we're going to work
Until,
out your
yeah,
age to do this.
undisclosed year.
Well, it
Well,
sounds like those
mature
messages
years.
were
Yeah.
coming for a while, shall we say?
Yes.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah.
Um, and I think, again, a lot of our people here will be able to, resonate with that, those messages that come through again and again and again until
Yes.
we get to a bit of a, Moira and I were speaking about it, as well, that you get into a certain point when you're not listening to those messages and it's like the pain. Oh, there's a really good quote by, I'm not sure I'm going to say her name right either. Anais. Does anybody on here know? We've got some answers about redemption statue and Christ the
Okay,
Redeemer.
great.
That's it, Christ the Redeemer. Thank you, Katrina. But the quote is something about when the pain becomes like the easier, it's got so much that actually the
Right.
pain of
It's better
staying
to
where you
open up,
are,
right?
yeah, that's it. The pain of staying where you are outweighs the pain of change.
Yes.
That's when it happens. And I think
Agree with you.
sometimes
Yeah.
the intuition it kind of like kicks us a lot, doesn't it? Until it's like,
Yes.
ow, ow, ow,
I
oh,
get it. I
ow.
hear it. Yeah. And Tiffany,
Okay.
you and I were talking about this too. And it is like, this is something I say to people, that like the path that we have chosen, it's not an easy one, right? So
No.
it's worth everything. And to me,
Yeah.
like, there's no question for me. This is what I need to do. And I am now not employable in the conventional sense. I can't go back to the 9 to 5. Like, it would not work, right? But
No.
going
Yeah.
professional in our world, it's a big leap of faith, and it asks a lot of you, just like any entrepreneurial pursuit, right? So I don't think it's
Mhm.
something to undertake lightly. And also, you have to know, as a tarot reader and as a professional, that you're ready. You have the knowledge, you have the confidence, right? So I don't think it's something that you necessarily leap blindly into, but with, you know, taking that leap of faith, but also backing it up with knowing that you're ready, and that you can learn what's necessary. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
For
it's a
sure.
big deal,
It
right?
is a big deal. And I
Yeah.
also think that there's a lot of emphasis on learning tarot, but not actually learning all the other things that hit you
Mm.
in the face when you become a
Yes.
professional. Like, do you know how to communicate?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how to coach? Do you know how to counsel? Counsel or counsel? You know how to
Oh,
counsel.
everything, right?
Do you know how to market yourself? All of
Yes,
those
yeah. Of
things is
course, yeah. And
um
not to take the fun away, because it is, I mean, this is a wonderful journey, but it's just, I always say, like, we're a little bit of outlaws, aren't we? We're kind of following
yeah,
a path that is, I'm happy to see it's becoming much more open, and I don't know, mainstream is not the right word. I guess accessible. Like, it's so wonderful to see how tarot is being embraced by planet right now, right? I think it's
yeah.
unprecedented, the interest and the love that there is right now for the cards.
Apparently it's 200% up
Wow.
interest in
Wow.
tarot, but I don't know the source of that statistic.
I trust you.
I
I
heard
believe
it
it.
on Loose Women. Loose Women is a quite trashy lunchtime program on English TV, but
Oh, really?
they did one on tarot, and
Oh,
they quoted
wow.
it was 200% up. Unfortunately,
Wow.
it was still the predictive side and
Right.
all of that. And I do think there is quite, I really think, because it's like it's hot on the heels of yoga. Yoga had
Yeah.
this massive
Yes.
boom, and now tarot's kind of the next one. And it's like, okay, so if we can help educate the world about how this is a transformative mirror to get to
Yes.
know thyself, then actually this is the time it's been waiting for on that level, and that makes me really excited.
Me
And
too,
that,
my dear. Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure it does,
Hmm.
because I think that's probably where we've connected in with David and the Light and Love
Yes. Yes.
tarot reading conference, because obviously you're going to be speaking there in September and
Yes.
showing us how to do our amulets. We're going to be making them
Yeah.
there, aren't we?
Well, we're going to be charging them. I'm going to select a particular, I don't want to give it away, but a particular talisman that we'll be working with the group. But I will be taking them through the ritual and the process of how to work with the cards and how to charge up the talisman. So it's going to be pretty special, I think.
I
I'm really
can't wait.
excited.
I
Yeah.
feel like that big statue in Brazil already. Like, I'm just charging. Like, I think every
Yeah.
time I connect like that, I'm going to feel that. I mean, your meditation was profound for me yesterday. It was just like, boom, here it is. And
Well, I'm
so,
so happy to hear that.
oh, it was incredible. So anyone
Mm.
that stays live will get that. And of course, we've got all the juicy stuff coming
Yes.
now next as well.
And
So,
before we dive in there, Tiffany, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your wonderful organization, and thank you for making all this happen, because we were joking about this before, the level of bravery and courage it takes to do this in the midst of Mercury retrograde, right? So thank you. It's been such a pleasure, and I just can't wait to see you live in Montreal.
oh, you're going to make me cry. I can't do that. I'd love
Thank you for
to.
your hard work.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. It means a lot. Honestly, I am feeling that in the heart, and it's like,
Good.
thank you. Uh, I've just loved the energy from connecting with David. I found him and on Twitter, and I was like, oh my God, I got
Oh,
downloads when I heard what he was up to. And I
wonderful.
was like, oh God, then, it's time. It's time to gather the tribe. And
Yes.
so thank you so much for being part of that. And
Oh, my pleasure.
okay, wonderful. So we've got some questions coming in. Lots of people saying hello and connecting with each other, which is brilliant.
Hey,
We'll
hi,
get
everybody.
questions at the end, but you're going to talk to us now about amulets and talismans and what
Yes.
to do, and then we're going to have a little tarot spread interactive thing with it. Yes?
Sounds great. Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I'll just talk do a little bit of background about how I got into this kind of work and what exactly I'm talking about here. Because for me, this is, how can I say? It's like a revelation to bring together two of the things that I love the most in the world, which are the cards, the tarot, of course, and shiny pieces of jewelry and crystals and beautiful things, right? Because I've always had a thing for crystals, for gemstones, for jewelry, as you can see,
Yeah.
But for me, jewelry has never been something that is just something that's pretty, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Just wearing something because it's pretty. Nothing wrong with that. But for me, I've always found that the jewelry that I wear since I was a kid had some kind of significance to me, right? So I mean, when I was born, my Oma, my Austrian grandmother, she gave me a gold pendant of an angel, a guardian angel. So I was wearing that most of my life. And then along my journey, I picked up an evil eye, which I always wore. I had another pendant it was actually very pragmatic. It was a medical alert for an allergy, and yet it has a caduceus on it. And my mom had a special one made for me that's heart-shaped, right? So I've always wearing this trinity of like 3 powerful protective amulets. And I never really thought about it. It's just something I did, right? And then over the years, I mean, I've traveled a lot and I'd pick up pieces in my travels that had significance for me, right? And then I started doing some work, of course, with crystals and understanding what their properties are and how they can support us, right? So that each one has a particular purpose or some way to help us achieve our goals or just even be happier in our daily life. So when I'm in my own daily life now, I always wear at least one talisman or amulet, and it's chosen specifically for the energy of the day. But to be honest, I usually wear way more than one. If I like the way, that sort of boost that they can give us. But I select them for their energy and for their purpose. And so what I've been doing over the past few years, more and more and more, is moving away from just the sort of protective amulet or the lucky charm to talismans that I'm wearing for a particular purpose and intention, something that's there to focus my energy and draw the energy towards me that I desire. And also a way to connect with my own higher self, with my guardians and guides, with the universe, like just a way to focus energy and amplify it. And I should say too that I don't believe that my power or our power comes from a stone, right? Or comes from a particular amulet, right? I'm not powerless without my jewelry. If I go out in the world and I've forgotten to put something on, it's not, it's going to be okay.
You just feel a bit naked, right? I feel a bit
totally
naked if I don't have. Yeah,
let's be honest, right? Yeah. I feel, I forgot that. I forgot. And so I agree with you. You do feel, you do feel naked without it, but there's not to imply that working with talismans takes away your own power and that then you need to have this magical object or it's, you're lost. Because I mean, that's how I feel at the tarot as well, right? Like it's something that empowers us and helps us rather than it being fatalistic or taking away our power, right? Sure. But so that being said, though, I do feel that working with talismans serves as a focus. So it helps you to amplify your intention and be aware of, keep in the forefront of your mind what it is that you want to achieve or what your goal is, and you're letting the universe know as well what you're drawing in. So it's just another tool to kind of help you achieve what it is you want to, right? In this form. Not that it's something that if you don't have it with you, you're lost. And as a little bit of an aside today, so I'm wearing various stones and amulets as we speak here, but I chose this one specifically for today.
What is it? Is it smoky quartz?
Is it gorgeous? It's a diamond quartz. So it's very similar to a Herkimer diamond, but it was mined somewhere else, right? And look at the size. I know.
I was going to say.
I only bring this out, Tiffany, for the big guns, right? The big events, right? So I love Herkimer diamond, and I love diamond quartz, as this is called, and this one's rutilated as well. So what it does is keeps things really clear, right? A clear channel. I find it helps with communication and connection with people, as well. And it amplifies the energy of other stones as well, right? So if you're wearing a Herkimer, it's going to fire up, or diamond quartz is going to fire up everything else. I just want to go back over caduceus, evil eye, and rutilated, because there might be some people that are a little bit lost with those. Sure. So evil eye, my understanding of that is that it's a protection from Turkey. Yes. Yeah, I'm wearing actually a bracelet today.
Yeah,
Greece and Turkey. Yeah.
Perfect. I think when people see it, they can get things. And the caduceus is the two snakes going up the staff that we have here in the medical. I don't know if it's the same in Canada.
Yes.
It's the symbol. Right. Okay. The medical. And also Archangel Raphael, I think, is he the green angel? But I think he has the caduceus staff. And rutilated means there's copper in your Herkimer diamond, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it's a particular kind of inclusion, right? And it has that sort of golden color to it. So that to me brings in another level of attracting prosperity and abundance, something. Yeah. So bringing in that energy as well. Yeah. But thank you for mentioning that, because I think that you've led me really nicely into a discussion about what an amulet is, right? Or what a talisman is, right? So just really briefly, amulets are primarily protective in nature. So when we're talking about something like that guardian angel, or an evil eye like this, amulets are usually to ward something off, right? So you're trying to protect from danger, illness, misfortune, negative energy that's directed towards you, because often with the evil eye, it can be someone unintentionally directing jealousy or negative energy. They're not doing it maliciously, but it just, so amulets are, so they're kind of deflecting something, right? And protective, rather than actively drawing something towards you. Yeah. Tiffany, do you have any kind of amulet that you wear, or you got like 5 on right now, 6?
Well, I put this on especially, but but it's kind of to be honest, it's not real. I don't think it might be real, actually. I got it from India, Dara Masala.
Oh, it's lovely.
So maybe it is, but I don't know. This here, my gosh, this is so old and bent. I used to have a crystal shop in London. So I didn't know anything about crystals. I learned very quickly. I kind of knew about, when you said Herkimer diamond and I saw the size of that, because they're normally very small. I was
That's
like,
right.
oh my gosh. But
I'm not kidding around.
You really aren't. They're normally like this big.
But is your ring, is that a dolphin that I see there too, though, my dear?
It's a dolphin. So my mum bought this for me when I was 18. But what I wanted to get, now it's all coming out the closet. What I wanted to get was my wedding ring back, because my husband and I went through a little bit of a tiff, shall we say. about 2 years ago. And yeah, I kind of had a little bit of a midlife Shirley Valentine moment, I guess. And I've come back and it's all been great. Like 2 years that, you know, we've worked it through. We went through what we needed to work through and we managed to do it. But he just won't give me my wedding ring or my engagement ring. And he did lose his in a Lido.
Oh no.
But it was incredible because they actually were draining the Lido the next week. And it was right by the sea and the ocean. And it was a massive Lido. So you can imagine the bath plug of the Lido is going to be huge. And they drained it and he got it back.
Amazing.
And so he's had loads of saltwater cleansing.
Yes, I can imagine.
I kind of wanted to get mine today and cleanse it. And unfortunately, it obviously is not divine timing yet, but it's our anniversary soon, next month. So I'm hoping I can apply whatever you're going to tell us.
Beautiful.
To it.
Well, and that's a wonderful point, because I mean, a wedding ring or an engagement ring, that is a talisman. You know, that is an amulet. That is a talisman. It has infused with intention and purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
So getting back to, amulet, protective, warding off something, right? Warding off danger, right? But when we talk about talismans, they are something active. So it's a magical item that is charged with a particular purpose. You know, it's consecrated for a particular intention or purpose, something that you want to achieve or receive, a goal that you're working towards, right? So that's the big difference, right? That it's, rather than just trying to protect or ward off, with the talisman, you're like, okay, this is what I want to invite in my life. This is the magic that I'm creating. And so you're focusing that intention, that spell, that energy on a physical object that then usually you would wear or you would carry with you, right? Okay. And so that to me is the power of it, that, you know, a talisman, it really can be anything. I like to work with natural objects, mainly like crystals or precious metals, but it can be really anything that you're focusing your intention in. Mm-hmm.
Because we do have a couple of questions here, like someone is saying they're not wearing any jewelry right now. So I think people are wondering if they need to be wearing any jewelry or having something with them today for this session. Is that something?
No. Yeah, that's more at the conference, you know, in September. Then we'll be working with a physical object. But what I'm going to do today is helping people with the cards, helping people hone in on that intention, and then I'll talk about different ways that you can work with it. But I just think when you're, certainly some people don't like to wear jewelry, or it's not, you know, not something they're comfortable with. So I'll talk, I can't imagine, but so it's something I can talk about. But just usually with a talisman or an amulet, either you're wearing it or you're having it somewhere where you can see it regularly, so that it's having that impact. Like, makes me think of, you know, people hanging medals or amulets from the rear view mirror of their car, right? Like a St. Christopher medal or something protective. So not necessarily that you're wearing it, but you have it where you need it or where you can see it, right? Or if you don't want to wear it, you could put it on your altar, or, you know, somewhere that you see it regularly at home. Yeah, but for today, don't worry. It's great if you have your cards. Otherwise, it's something you can try later.
Okay,
on your own.
Great. Okay, so if people have cards, should they get them
we're going to use them.
Yeah?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Have them handy.
Have them handy. I've got mine handy.
Oh, me too.
I've got the trusty Rider-Waite.
Me too. Well,
yeah, Pamela Smith's signature.
Yes, the special. Yeah. Same thing. Cool. Okay. So the last thing I will say, though, so usually when we're talking about these magical items, so as I said, amulets are protective, talismans are with intention and drawing something to you. And then also we talk about lucky charms a lot of the time too. You know, people have a lucky charm and they're kind of in the middle. So they're vaguely protective, but also hoping to draw luck, right? But not a specified luck usually. So things like 4-leaf clovers or lucky penny or horseshoe or something, right? So there are all these different things that you'll hear referred to kind of as the same thing, but I like to say the big difference is I love the energy of a talisman, that you're working with it to invite something in rather than just trying to, make sure you're
I like that
vaguely
too.
lucky or protected, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And also, I think there's a couple of different things going on here when we work with a talisman, because, as I said, a talisman can help us to focus our intention, to get really clear on it, so that we can manifest a particular goal. So I think on one level, doing that kind of work, it gets your subconscious and your own higher self involved in the mix, right? Because it's kind of like you've done this ritual, you've got this magical object to focus your energy on. Your subconscious is going to help you out, right? You're going to start to see new possibilities. You're going to start to see patterns or opportunities because it's in the forefront of your mind, right? But on the other level, I think there's something bigger than that, because you're letting your guides, however you want to see it, your guardians, your guides, the universe, the source, whatever, however you see it, you're putting it out there in the world that this is my intention. I'm going to do this. It's already happened, right? So that's something really powerful, I think, on both on the personal level and also on the bigger picture.
I love it. I think there is so much power in that kind of working with this is already here, and I am just powering this up.
Yes,
with
I
it.
love it.
Yeah. And honoring it, which is beautiful.
I love that.
We've got lots of lovely questions coming in, and I'm not ignoring you, peeps. We will get there. Just to keep the structure clear and not lose it, we're going to be carrying on with Laurie's program right now.
Okay,
and
great.
then we'll come back to the Q&A.
Perfect. Okay? Yeah, I will not be distracted there, but I'm excited to see what people have to say. Okay, so let's talk just a little, very, very briefly. I'm going to talk about using the tarot itself as a talisman, right? So this is not my main topic, but I feel it's useful to really briefly mention it, that you can work with the cards themselves as a talisman, of course, right? So what I'm talking about is the idea of actively choosing a card that represents what it is you want to manifest, right? So you're looking through the deck, you have your intention in mind, you look through the cards actively and pick one that, yes, this illustrates what it is I want to achieve most closely, or it illustrates how I want to feel, or it may serve as inspiration for, in a particular challenging situation, I want to bring this energy or this courage or something, right? So that's as simple as, looking through the deck. It can sometimes be difficult to narrow it down to one, but, really looking through that deck, getting clear on your intention and finding the card that most closely matches what it is you want to bring into the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I have some clients that didn't like connecting with the emperor, but like in the way I work, we live the tarot. So we go through the Fool's Journey, and each day we're on a card and we live it. And so
beautiful.
It is like connecting with a talisman, right, for that day. And beautiful. After they've lived with the emperor, most of the time they can't get enough of him, because
really, wow.
And then they started doing it themselves in terms of like, I've got so much to do today. Oh, I know, I need the emperor. Or I've got this situation where I need the strength to be myself. Oh, I'm going to get the strength card. So it sounds like it's what we've been doing, but not calling it talisman. And I love the thought that it is, isn't it? That's the way of connecting with it. Totally.
I love that, because that's exactly where I'm going. So the only place that I would maybe take it in a different direction would be, but exactly what you're describing, right? So say that I, as you say, I have a lot of work to do. I need to focus on building some solidity in my career or something, right? That emperor is going to serve me well, right? So I would do the same thing, where it's like you perhaps do a meditation with that card. You do a personal ritual of some kind where you're connecting with that card, and then either carry it with you, put it on your altar, put it on your mirror, on your fridge, whatever, right? So on the screensaver on your phone or your computer, so that you're seeing it, right? And throughout your day, look for where the emperor shows up. Like you are embodying it, but also do you see the emperor in your daily life or blah, right? So it can be really powerful in that way, that it's like a focus for your intention, right? Just as you're describing.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Oh wow, that's it's amazing. Like how it
Good.
all adds up. Talisman,
Yes.
of course. Yes.
All right.
Wow.
So should we? Is it a good time, Tiffany, to start to go to the cards a little bit?
Absolutely. And I'm loving how much people are interacting with each other as well and chatting with each other, which is great. The energy is really
Great. Oh, I love it. Oh,
thank you,
cool. I'm excited to chat with people.
I can't wait.
I'm not going to look. It's like, oh, I'm so interested to see. Okay. But enough talking. So, well, a little more talking, but then the cards. So I'm going to take you through the process. So essentially, and this is what I'll be going into more depth in at the conference. But basically, the practice that I've been working with that I find very powerful combines having that physical talisman. But the way that we're working with it is, first of all, you need to come up with a really laser sharp, very clear intention of what it is you want to manifest, right? Because like it's all very nice to create a talisman, but if you don't know what you want, really, how is the universe going to help you out with that, right? If you aren't clear on it, or you may have some result, but it may be lesser than you hope or different than you hope, right? So I think it's really powerful to know, what are you asking for? What are you going to manifest? Get really clear on that. And that's where the cards come in. So I do a particular, or usually I design it depending on the question or the situation, but a particular tarot spread that helps you get really clear on what it is you want to manifest. What is the intention that you're locking into that talisman? So the cards help with that process. And then what we learn and discover from our tarot reading, that the next step is then to lock that in with a ritual into your talisman. So I found it's really powerful to combine, like to use the cards as a tool to help you to get clear on what it is you want to manifest, how it might affect your life, how you're going to do it, and then you take all that energy and lock it in. So it's very powerful. So for me, I've been loving, me and my clients, we've been loving it, working with it, right?
Fantastic.
Okay. So let's do, this is a brief version, just a 3-card spread. If I was working one-on-one with someone or had more time, we'd probably go more in depth, but let's do 3 for the sake of time. Yeah. So what I would like everyone to do first, take a nice deep breath, because this is all very exciting and the energy is all high. So, me too. Take a nice deep breath. And let's just, come and center ourselves a little bit and have our cards handy. And I'd like you to think a little bit about something that you want to invite into your life. And think about an intention that you want to manifest, a goal that you want to reach. And it can be something very practical. It could be one particular thing, like I want to pay off my credit card by this particular date. I want to invite a really wonderful relationship into my life. It might be personal work. I want to feel very confident, anything. But start thinking about that. And then I'd like you to look through your cards actively. We're not leaving this up to a random choice. Look through your cards and find one that most clearly matches that desire or intention. So and it's not so easy. So if people have their deck, don't overthink it, but try to get it down to one card where you feel like, yes, this is who I want to be, how I want to feel, what I want to manifest.
And sometimes it doesn't make logical sense either, does it? You just see it and think that's it.
That's the one. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And while you're looking and while everyone's doing that, I chose for myself the Queen of Wands.
Okay.
Yeah, because I love her and I want to be her. And she matches in with my intention has to do with the book that I'm writing and completing it by a certain date, having that passion, having that drive, confidence, the vision, right? So she really embodies that for me. So I chose, and it's not easy. It was a process to pick her too, but she was the one that most clearly embodies that.
Yeah, I that is my archetype. I am the Queen of
Oh.
Wands. I'm a Leo and I have a little black cat. But the one I
Love it.
the one I'm choosing is this one.
Beautiful.
And it's
Okay.
interesting what's going on for me emotionally with it, because there's a whole load of judgments coming up around the High Priest.
Yes.
And at the same time, I know that really deep down inside of him here, again, it's like when people work with the High Priest, so many kind of like resistances, authority, and
Yes.
all of that kind of stuff going on, class systems, hierarchy, religion. But actually, it took ages for the High Priest to open up to me. It was only a couple of years ago, and I was sat in the mountains in Spain, and it was the day of writing about the High Priest, and I sat there and there was nothing. And I don't get writer's block, and I'm hardly ever lost for words. And I was like, there's nothing. And then the full moon in Taurus, the High Priest, came up above the mountains, and all I could see was mountains, earth, and
Yes.
all I felt was this huge power of sacred silence and stillness that wouldn't be pushed around or changed for anyone, because it just was. And for the first time, I understood why the Hierophant is called no-thingness in the Osho Zen Tarot.
Okay.
So I'm
That's
picking
amazing.
him for that. I'm picking him for that connection to that energy.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So that's perfect.
Mm.
All right. So, and it's really nice. I see some people are in the chat room saying what they picked. So that's great.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll look at that. Okay. So then the next card, this is going to be one that is going to be left up to the universe, right? So just shuffle your cards.
Mm-hmm.
And while you're shuffling, I'd like you to keep in mind the question, how can I manifest this intention? What is an action step I can take, right? How can I manifest it? And again, be open to the idea that it may be something kind of ridiculously literal, right? Like it maybe you need to buy this book, or you need to go to this place, or you need to talk to this person. And maybe you may recognize it as you need to, declutter your house or whatever. On the other hand, it may be something much more internal and universal, right? Mm-hmm. So be open to the messages on those different levels. Okay. But it's always good when you can get something really practical, right?
Okay. And so do we look at it?
Sure. You want to have a look, see if you want to share it with us.
It was really weird because I felt this one, and I should have maybe gone with that. But then I was like, oh, it was before you'd said about the meditation.
Oh, well, trust your intuition.
Yeah,
trust your gut.
Happens, doesn't it? I think, it comes and then people say it and you're like, oh, I'm already there. And that one is the Magician.
Ooh, very nice.
But then I thought, okay, I'll try with the intention, and got the Knight of Cups. So,
well, no, that's great. So I think maybe there's two things you need to do then.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So have a look at those cards, and same with everybody who's doing this along with us. Look at the card that you drew and allow that intuitive response to it, right? Does something jump out at you where you're like, I know exactly what that is. I need to do that thing I've been putting off. Or does it inspire you to a particular attitude or something, right? And what an interesting combination you have there of the Magician and the Knight of Cups, right? Like there's action in both of them, but it's a very different approach.
I'll hold it up again. Yeah. I mean, to me, the Hierophant and the Magician are very similar. You can tell there with the colors and the masculine channeling energy, that comes through in both of them. Hello, Mystic. She's like, oh, tarot. Can't really see, but as soon as the tarot comes out, she is here.
Oh, hello.
Yes, it's Tarot.
Oh, my Willow. She's under my desk with me right now here too, my little cat.
Oh,
oh yeah, she's not quite as Oh, hello there, dear.
Yeah.
But so interested, right? And but bringing in that Knight of Cups there is a very different energy, I think.
I guess that's the feminine, isn't it? And the heart. And so
Yeah.
there's something here about, I think there can be a lot of mind energy here.
Yes.
And this here is like, remember to come in the heart with it.
Yes, I
That's what
love
I'm,
it. Follow your heart. Yeah, it feels like you can go on a quest that's going to lead you to your heart's desire there with that knight, right?
it's a quest.
Bring in some love there. And so and I'll show mine really briefly too. So I got the Six of Cups,
Mm-hmm.
which to me it's always a funny card to me. Like it evokes a lot of different
Mm,
responses for me. But when I look at this in regards to finishing my intention to finish the writing project, the book I'm working on. Like for one thing, this says to me, okay, just as with your night, like to do it with love and joy and to remember why I'm doing this in the first place, to know that it can be helpful, it can be received with love and it can be helpful to others, right? So that
mm,
all speaks to me of the sort of underlying motivation, like get joy out of it gently and weave a story and know it's going to help people, right? But again, on a very practical note, though, this one says to me, maybe there's somebody I should reach out to, a colleague, a friend. There's somebody that can help me, right? So rather than feeling like I need to do this alone and be that, that hermit writing in my golden cave here, feels like, hey, there's someone who can help me and I should reach out to them. So it speaks to
yeah,
me on a couple of different levels there, right?
fantastic. And I
Mm.
just want to bring in how you got that from the picture and how I think that is important, because sometimes
Yeah.
people think, oh, we need to know the meanings, but no, you just just look and see what the picture is saying to you in the
Yeah, of
moment.
course. Yes,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah,
yeah.
I think it's important, right? Like, so open up to that intuitive response and look at the card. Like, there's images on there for a reason, right? So let them speak to
Absolutely.
you. And then, of course, you can bring in all your knowledge and all that you know about the card. You can bring it in and layer it. But I think it's important to never block that intuitive response to it, right? What is
Mm,
it that your heart immediately says?
mm.
Okay. So then the last card, the third card is how will manifesting this intention impact my life?
Wow, love it.
And yeah, that's a big one. And so what I'd like to say there is if you get something that looks really challenging and doesn't look like what you're hoping for, there's two things you can do. So one thing is you may want to go back and revisit that intention. Like, were you really asking for what it is you really want? Or did you limit yourself out of lack of confidence or fear, right? Is there
Mm,
something you need to adjust about your approach or something, right? The other side would be to look at a challenging card and see the positive message that's there, right? Like it may indicate some kind of attitude shift or breaking of a pattern, right? So if you get a really big scary card, don't worry. But it
okay.
is important to adjust and really think about
Okay.
it.
Got one here, and I'd like to say I'm just doing this for the purpose of showtime, but there
See,
we
there you go.
go.
Did I have a feeling you were going to get something?
Preempting like that, but
But
it's
I
good.
love the tower. What do you see when you look at that?
Yeah, well, I love the tower too, to be honest. Sometimes I'm a bit like when I see maybe challenging cards, and I guess everybody feels a bit like that. It's a bit like, oh, again, really, I'm knackered. So there is a
Yes,
part
yeah.
of me that feels like that. Um, Probably because I'm a 7, so in my birth card, so
Hmm.
Chariot and
Hmm.
the tower number 16, 1 plus 6 equals 7.
Yes,
So I'm no stranger
right.
to this energy. And so it feels like what you said, quest is interesting. I think whenever, so for instance, this is something that I want to bring through as the next step. It's to do with retreats, and I want to do a retreat in Mexico, and that's the
Oh,
biggest one that
fantastic.
I've ever done. And so it really is next level, below the top of
Yes,
on
yes.
that side of things. And so it's like, well, that's the biggest thing I've ever done. And you know what it's like when you create something, you channel that first. It does
Hmm.
something through you first. It comes through you first, right?
Hmm.
And so if it's a transformative retreat, so what do I expect? Really
Beautiful.
on that front.
Transformation, right? Yeah, I
Exactly.
think that's beautiful. And so it feels to me
Yeah.
too, doing that retreat, it may shake up your own life a little bit, right? But in a good
Well,
way.
it was
Don't be
Mexico that I
afraid.
did my Shirley Valentine. So yes,
Yeah.
it's kind
Oh.
of interesting that that energy is is there in that,
I love that.
it's coming back round to help others with that side of things. So
Yes,
yes, the tower has
beautiful.
to be there,
I love
really.
it. Beautiful. I
Um,
love it.
it reminds me of one more quote. Somebody told me a nice nin, thank you, whoever it was earlier, with the one about the painful bud.
Yes.
But the quote, Adyashanti, do you know that one? That there is nothing, there's nothing something about enlightenment. It's the eradication of everything you actually ever held to be true. I can't
Mm.
remember what that blank is, so I'm going to put that out to you.
Maybe somebody can help me out.
Yeah.
I love it.
Fill in
I
blank.
love it.
Hmm.
And so I pulled the chariot, actually, your card there that you just mentioned. Yeah. So I love to see, to me, this is a great message because it, on one level, it's telling me what I intend to do. You know, what the project that I'm working with will move me forward, right? Very strongly move me forward. It can be challenging, but I think it's letting me know that by completing this project, it's going to increase my confidence and it's going to move me forward, right? So I love to see this here. To me, it's very encouraging that, okay, yeah, you're on the right track. So it's gonna move you forward. It's gonna get things rolling and bring confidence and expertise as well. So I'm like, yeah, I'd love to see that chariot there.
Interesting that they're the same energy in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
Paired up. They're both about being out of the comfort zone and things happening fast, aren't they?
Yeah,
Which is,
definitely.
okay.
And so what I would, and I'll keep it short here for the sake of time, but what I would recommend to people, if you have those 3 cards, so I have them in front of me here, if you have your 3 cards in front of you now, just give yourself a moment again to look at those cards. Don't worry about the positions at this point. You know, just take a breath, look at those cards, and do you notice anything? You know, do you see a story there? Do you see them interacting with each other? Do you get any other sense from when you see them all together? Do they speak to you in a different way or bring another level to them, right? Because I mean, I'm looking at mine and I have such, the Queen of Wands and the Chariot for me are so independent, right? And so moving forward, and I'm going to do it right now myself. Right? Then in the middle, I have this very gentle 6 of Cups where it's like, wait a minute, make sure you enjoy it and get somebody to help you and support you in it, right? So that feels like a very good thing to keep that in balance, right? Those forces. Right? So it's
Quite
always worth,
how similar it is. Sorry, I just wanted to
No, go
say
ahead.
that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from what you mirrored back about yours, and they are both very active cards.
Yeah,
And then they go into the passive cups, and then they go into that breakout and move forwards quickly energy.
Yeah,
Which is
beautiful.
interesting how people mirror a lot. Wouldn't you say, like when you do
Yes.
readings for people, there's that mirroring going on, and that
Oh,
might
definitely.
also with the audience today.
Oh,
So
lovely.
interesting to see.
Well, and I think just as you say, it can be a good, this kind of exercise because like by actively picking the card that you want to manifest, you know, that's great because it gives you that first kick and that first intention and gets you excited, right? But then you have to go a little bit deeper because we don't always stop and analyze or be with ourselves and know, why do I want to achieve this? Is this actually what I want to achieve? Is it going to impact my life in a way that is beneficial? Or because maybe like this kind of exercise will help you get a little bit deeper about what it is you want to achieve and why you do, how it's going to make you feel, how it's going to impact your life. And then that brings more power to it, right? Rather than just some sort of like sterile thing that you think you should, but intention that you should achieve. It's like really bringing power into it, understanding yourself and why you want to do this and how you're going to do it. And then, as I say, the next step, there's a couple of more steps, but that I will get into at the conference. But I think this step is the crucial one with creating the talisman, is using the cards to really understand what it is you want to do, why you want to do it, and how you're going to do it. So then the next step is just, work infusing it in here. And there's another step too, but I think I might keep that to myself for now too.
I like your style.
Or I can tell you what it is. But anyway, so essentially, like from this point, what I would do for myself or with a client is like we would use this reading to create an affirmation, a power statement, a mantra that we are then going to lock into our talisman. And at the conference, then I talk more about that. Like, how are you going to how are you going to create it? And then some practices that you can work with it. Because like I often do things like I'll create a talisman on a particular occasion or a particular significant date, or perhaps with the new moon, and then have a way that I'm going to work with it until a particular date, right? Like I want to achieve something by the next full moon, or I want to achieve something by a particular date, right?
Yeah.
So when you're creating the talisman, you can keep in mind date, significance of date and time, and also the talisman that you choose, the properties that it matches or supports what it is you want to achieve. Right? But the cards are integral to that process.
Oh, it sounds incredible. It sounds amazing. And yeah, I just want to say as well, you know, like you have beautifully said about, because, you know, this is what happens sometimes when we get those ending cards that are like this. But I think, you know, it's about actually embracing that power and not really breathing it in, and what you're saying about talisman and bringing that energy in and just going, okay, I am that energy is far more empowering than going, oh, crumbs, should I not be doing it then? I think there's something about trusting and breathing the energy in with the talisman, as you've been talking about, that's far more empowering and can help, I think, people ground that energy and feel like they can actually
there's something powerful, right? Having that physical object, it's very grounding, right? It's a touchstone, right? So you can have like, as I feel like a tarot reading is so powerful, but it can sometimes be ephemeral, right? You may leave that reading and, you know, you leave it and you're like, yes, I know what I'm going to do. And then if you don't continue to do the work, it may sort of dissipate, right? So having a talisman, a concrete item to work with, it keeps you on track, right? It gives you something to focus on.
Yeah.
And help you make the most out of a great reading.
It honors it, doesn't it? And it's like that full stop, and it's like, yeah, okay, I've got this now. And that's so empowering. I love that. I think we can all resonate to readings where it's maybe like we don't really like what it's seen, and go, la 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 la, put that back, and then it just feels like a dishonoring, and we get all worried in ourselves. And I think this could really turn that around for people. So I think it's very powerful. Thank you very much for sharing it with us.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for going through the process with me there.
Okay, are you ready for the questions?
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah? Fantastic. Brilliant. We've got so many people saying hello to you. We've got people from Toronto, London, California.
Yay.
The Pacific Ocean, says Katrina. Are you really in the Pacific Ocean?
Can I join you, Katrina? Yeah. Yeah, teleport me there.
Indeed. Okay, so interesting question from Kathy, who says she would love to find out if she has a future in her current job. Now, what I will point out is that I saw this when you were talking about being in your job that was the 5 one. And I'm not saying that this means that for Kathy, but I'm going to point out there was some synchronicity, that I actually read this comment at the time that you were talking about that job. So it's interesting that Kathy is asking, and I think sometimes when we ask a question, we kind of know, you know. But Kathy is asking whether she should be leaving or not. So that's my take on it. Is there anything you would like to add?
Well, I'm just wondering, of course, of the context of it, right? And I think the only thing I would say, that just as you say, if you're asking those questions, then there's a reason for it, right? So even if it's a job where you still have the option to stay and you may be successful in it, why are you asking the question? You know, check in with your intuition, with your gut, and say, you know, what is going on here, right? Is that a prompt from the universe that it's time for change, right? So, I mean, that's why I would consult the cards too, to say, like, if you stay where you are, what might it be like? If you go, what might it be like, right? But I think, just as you said, Tiffany, if you're asking the question, something's going on there already, right?
Absolutely. And maybe Kathy's also fed back what's happened since then, because that was right at the
Yes,
beginning
okay.
of the webinar. So thank
Great.
you for that,
Thank you.
Kathy and Laurie. And Sandy N told me it was a nice name, that quote earlier
Oh,
about.
great.
So thank you, Sandy, for that. And she's actually put the quote. Thank you, Sandy.
Oh, isn't that nice?
And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom.
Beautiful.
Thank you for putting that. And synchronistically, I think that's quite interesting that that's the very next comment after Kathy's as well.
Yes, that's a message for Kathy there, maybe.
Okay, so just getting. Kathy says she loves your pendant.
Oh, so do I. Thank you.
So do I too. And Esther says, Laurie, I would like to know, how do you relate amulet with superstition? As I can resonate with the fact that you became aware of the importance of wearing something for the day. Do you follow a ritual, and how do you cleanse or recharge the amulet?
Oh, nice question, right? So more about on the amulet side of things, right? The protective, yeah. Because of course there is a lot of tradition and superstition around amulets, right? And I think that's a good question, because oftentimes I find, like, or in my own experience anyway, an amulet is something that is already kind of recognized by other people. You know what I mean? Like, people know what an evil eye is. They know what a St. Christopher's medal is. They know what a particular, like, an amulet already has a particular tradition or a purpose around it, right? So you're rather than creating one that's unique to you, right? So there can be some of that superstition around it, but I don't know. I like to say belief more than superstition, right? I think there's something going on there, that those amulets, like, there is a power there, right? So I think as far as cleansing or charging them, I mean, to me, it's the same. How can I say? An amulet, in some sense, is already coming with that power or that intention, right? It maybe is not something that you created. Maybe it was given to you or you bought it or something. So it's already got some function going on there. But you can do the same kind of thing. Like, I would charge my cards or my crystals or anything, or cleanse them in the full moon, or with sage, or with Palo Santo, right? So anything, or a sound, right? Sound bowl, or anything that resonates with you. And I would say too, if you feel like, I don't have a particular schedule or anything of charging my amulets or crystals, right? Like every Thursday afternoon I do the laundry and charge my amulets. But just something like, when you're feeling maybe that you're not feeling connected with that piece, you're feeling like it's not speaking to you or working with you in the same way that it did before, that would be a good time to do something like that, right? To charge it or clear it with incense, Palo Santo, the moon, right?
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Thank you very much, Laurie. Thank you, Esther. Lisa says she once had a Herkimer diamond, and when my business partner left my first business, it literally split that day.
Wow, interesting. And that's Lisa. Lisa, I hear you, because I've had experiences where, like, as I mentioned, I often wear an evil eye pendant or an evil eye bracelet of some kind, and I've had where they have split or they have broken, right? And I'm like, thank you for doing your job. Right? So that amulet or that stone is protecting you, right? It's working for you.
It is amazing how they do that. And they also tend to really go where they're needed.
Yes,
it's like the same with my ring. It's like there's something going on with that, but it's like, I don't think we own crystals or jewelry. They tend to really do just have a life of their own of where they
agree.
go.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow.
Yeah, it's true, because you hear stories about people like they losing a particular piece, right? Or it just somehow disappears out of their life. And, oftentimes that's for a reason, right? It's fulfilled its function, or it's time for something different, right?
Yeah, a new engagement.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, interesting.
I Okay, so Sandy says she's using her Gilded Tarot deck. It's the newest
Oh,
deck,
very
and she
nice.
loves it. Chiro Machetti. It's one of my favourite decks as well as his
Oh,
decks because
lovely.
he adds the astrology into them, which I think is fantastic.
Very nice.
Yeah. Okay. Sandy's saying, what an amazing idea, Ari, meditating on a card that represents what we manifest. For a
Beautiful.
romantic committed relationship, would it be obvious that it's the lover's card?
Yeah. And Sandy, thank you for mentioning that because I had been thinking about that too, and I don't think I mentioned it. But particularly, yeah, of course, if you want to manifest a romantic committed relationship, I think the Lovers card is beautiful for that. But also, yeah, I mean, the Lovers would be the first one that comes to mind, but also perhaps the Two of Cups, right?
Mm,
The start of something sweet and new, right? Or even that Six of Cups that I pulled before. Maybe if you want to invite something that brings back the sweetness of the past or something that's very fairy tale.
mm.
Or if you want to go the other direction, you may want to pull a Wands card, right? You may want that Ace of Wands to bring some passion and fire, right? So it depends, no judgment, right? It depends on what you're looking, or is it
Yeah,
something sweet? Is
yeah.
it something fiery? So that's where I think the cards can really help you to get more clear. Like, what is it? Or committed relationship. Maybe you want to pull that Knight of Pentacles. You want that rock that's going to be slow and steady and stick with you and support you, work together with you to build a life. So I think about what the cards can help you get more clear. What do you mean by romantic committed relationship? What does that mean to you, right?
Totally. It's like the Ten of Cups again,
Yes, of course, the Ten of Cups, of
and
course,
it's
right?
like, but you can see that in each and every one of them. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
actually, what, like you say, what is it you want in that relationship?
Yeah,
And go
yeah,
deeper with it and look for that in the cards. And yeah, because the Lovers, I
love
think
that.
everybody goes to that for relationships when actually it's called the choice in some decks, and it is
Yes,
Adam and Eve, and so it's
yes,
about free will. Do you,
yeah,
So yeah, I think it's great to get a bit deeper with those things.
love that, love
Great
that.
answer. Thank you. She intuitively picked the strength card. There you go.
Ah,
There you go.
okay,
Uh-huh. Fantastic. And you know what? I actually have the strength card for my marriage, and it's got that infinity symbol, and it
beautiful.
definitely has that energy in it, which is beautiful.
And I
Yeah.
think I love when I think the strength card often comes up for relationship related questions, and it always makes me smile, right? Because
Mm.
there's one person that's very calm and compassionate and patient, and then the other fiery lion who needs to be kind of, calm, right?
Soon.
So it
And
can be
he's
a really
singing
interesting
up my name.
relationship dynamic, right? Yes. So maybe that's a dynamic that would be really beautiful for her, right? So
Yeah,
take a
totally.
little, yeah.
And being Leo, it rules the heart.
Mhm.
Courage means to speak from the heart.
Yes.
Strength. So yeah, there's bits of every card that really can, yeah, like you
Beautiful.
say, Laurie, go deeper with it and see what you really, really want. So I can see how this process helps people to get really clear with what they want. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. Lara is saying she wants more clients and picked the Queen of Pentacles.
Oh,
Okay,
beautiful. Yeah,
excellent.
I think that's a great one. So Queen of Pentacles says to me that you being in charge of your business, you're the queen of your business, but also you create something for yourself where life is comfortable and abundant, right? Because she didn't pick like a knight where she has to go pursue all of these clients, right?
Mm,
She's like, they will
yeah,
come to her as the
mm,
queen. So I
love
love
it.
that. Yeah, I love it.
Mm. Lisa had 6 cards and had to check
Oh,
in energetically with each really deeply. And the one that came out was the High Priestess.
beautiful. Yeah, and
Okay.
Lisa, that's the thing. I know it's not that easy to get to one card
Mm,
oftentimes, right? Like when you're picking that card that represents what you want to manifest, it can be really tough.
mm.
So that's a beautiful way to do it, to check in with each one and okay, yes, it's clear. The High Priestess is the one. But I recommend that rather than keeping those 6 cards because
Yeah.
it spreads your focus or it can be confusing, right? But that's beautiful. Check in with them, see what your intuition tells you, and lovely that it was the High Priestess.
Yeah, it's a process, isn't it, of getting
Yes.
clear which one speaks. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense in
Mm-hmm.
terms of. we do something called storytelling, where you pick the cards for the day and you put, like intentionally, like we intentionally, like I
Yes.
intentionally picked the high priest.
Beautiful.
And so you'd have two piles, one of yes and one of no, of this showed up and this didn't. But actually, when you go to lay them down, it changes. It's like, oh, actually, no, I need that card, and that card wasn't in there. It is a process, isn't it? Of
Beautiful.
sorting
Yes.
through, getting
Lovely.
clearer. And
Love
that's what's
that.
so great about the tarot, because it's pictures and it's tangible and it helps you do that, which is
Definitely.
fantastic. Okay. So people are just saying what they've picked,
Nice.
but I'm not quite sure what for.
Mm.
Angelica said she picked the star.
Oh, lovely.
Gorgeous. And Virginie says, I have two cats snoozing near me. So sounds like your cat's under your table.
Yeah, she's dozing under their mind. Yeah.
Is she
I was
black? Are
hoping
you
she
like
would.
a Queen of Wands with a black cat? Is one of them black?
This is, Tiffany, when we got Willow is the love of my life, my little cat here, and I went to the Humane Society to adopt a cat, and my vision was to have a perfect little beautiful black cat kitten, my little familiar, and I came home with a tabby cat, Moggy tabby cat, and she's quite luxurious and comfortable cat, but she was the cat I needed, right? So,
Totally.
yeah,
And
I love the bones of her. And I
so
went
on
in
that,
there looking, so you
the
get what you
cats
need.
come to you, the crystals come to you, the cards come to you,
she
and then
came to me.
I had the opposite. I was wanting a tabby cat, and the one cat I didn't want was a
There you
black
go.
cat. And I rang a wrong number, and it happened to be a pet shop, and they had
For
one
goodness
cat in there, black, and that was Mystic. But then
there
when
you
I
go.
met my husband, he had a tabby cat, so
It
and of
all
course
works out.
I regret her at all whatsoever. So yeah, it does, doesn't it? We set these intentions, and it all comes out. That's the magic in life, isn't it? It all
That's
comes out
right.
right. Okay, so Jacqueline's saying the High Priestess and the Death card. So there's, again, I'm not sure whether this meant that Jacqueline picked the High Priestess and then the next one was the Death card picked by the universe. I think that's probably where we were at in terms of.
I wonder. Well, I mean, big cards, right? So I think whatever she's asking must have quite a significance to it there. And so that if she's asking, how can I manifest this intention, and the Death card comes up, and that's pretty powerful stuff, right? There's necessity for something to come to an end so that you can transform into the next thing, right? So I wonder what her third card was, but I won't, without knowing the context.
Maybe we'll find out, that the High Priestess she goes underworld, doesn't she? So there is that journey with her. It comes with her, really, which is fantastic on that. Wow, how that's come together. Juliet saying hello, Mystic, bless her. Lisa, interesting. The card I drew was the Five of Cups. I have to let some stuff go and just keep what fills me up. I felt so strongly to pick another card. Ever the rebel, right? I think I know which Lisa this is. And the Fool jumped out. Now I really think I know if I'm right, because she's Aquarius. I lived the wonderment of the Fool and that call to adventure.
Oh, isn't that beautiful? That's beautiful. And I really appreciate that, what Lisa said there, because just as we were discussing before, if a challenging card comes up like that Five of Cups, then of course the instinct is, no, I'm going to pick another one. Right? But the beauty of it is stick with that card and see how it speaks to you, right? And so how beautiful that the Fool came to bring some resolution around there. But don't be put off if you get a card that's challenging, because what you're asking to manifest, or the intention that you're locking in, it may not be so easy, right? It can be big things we're talking about here. So part of the journey is not shying away from the challenging ones. That may be actually the key to achieving what it is that you want to, right?
For sure. Yeah.
But I hear you. Of course, we all would just want to go back and pick another one. You got to bring in the discipline there.
Before now, like now, I would probably do it your way in terms of like an amulet or locking it in, because I can feel the empowerment of that.
Mm,
But before now, if it was a challenging card, I would take another one just so it didn't end on
I
that
hear you.
challenge
Yeah.
as a journey. So, like, for instance, the next one for me would be the Six of
Yeah,
Wands. It's like,
beautiful.
yeah, you go through the tower, you progress, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. There's nothing pulling that card. Like you could look at that tower card, and if it's really throwing you, you can ask, tell me more about this card, where is this leading me to? And then of course pull another one, but not just putting the tower underneath a
away.
cushion or or out the
Yeah.
window or whatever,
Oh,
right?
God.
I agree
Yeah.
with that.
Can you imagine? Oh, yeah. Oh,
Don't need
they
that
just
one.
cards like that really demand to be faced, don't they? And I think when they are, that's when you get that kind of like value, huge
Yeah,
value for doing that. Yeah.
beautiful.
And I think that's what your talismans really can help bring forward for people, is that
Yeah, I
really
agree.
amazing. Okay, can you yeah, Virginie is saying, can you repeat the purpose of the third card, please?
Yeah, and I
Oh,
think very kindly somebody did in the chat room.
Elise
Nice,
did. Thank
yeah.
you, Elise. Third card is how your intention will impact your life.
Thank you,
I love
Elise.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, Empress for first card, Four of Wands for second, Four of Swords, Four of Swords for third. So
Lovely.
Empress, Four of Wands, Four of Swords.
Okay. So, and I see it seems to me that she was happy with that, I think, by the way she said it there. So, yeah,
Yeah,
interesting combination, right?
yeah,
So, it's like how to manifest it. She's got that wands energy, right? That feeling of bringing the passion and the fire, maybe bringing in community, an aspect of just like I had with community support or something. And yet all of that fire and all of that excitement is going to bring her to such a place of peace of mind and rest, right? So I love the
fantastic.
combination of those two. Hmm.
Beautiful. Yeah. And I think Kirsty, again, if it's the Kirsty that I know, she's a Leo, so she has a lot of fire. And
Ah, okay.
also, I think she said, oh, I feel better about it now when we were talking about the talismans and bringing that energy
Ah,
in.
beautiful.
So that's great. Kathy says, okay, Kathy, I wonder if it's the same Kathy. I chose the sun as I need something bright, warm, and cheerful. The universe gave
Mm,
me the Three of Wands, ships coming in. Now I
nice.
have the King of Cups, my wounds being healed. Ah,
Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful, Kathy. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. That's just lovely.
it is, isn't it? And Sandy's
Mhm.
saying she's loving the energy of putting a card in synchronicity with others. Thank
Oh,
you. Thank you,
beautiful.
Sandy. Okay. Just looking for some questions. Third card. Unless you count the fool that jumped out, was the King of Swords.
Mm.
So, was this meant for me? And will I need to transform my thoughts?
Mm. So interesting. Okay, so the fool jumped out, which is nice, and he tends to do that, right? But the King of Swords, so that third position is how will manifesting that goal impact your life, right? So I don't think it's that you will need to transform your thoughts. I think it's going to do that for you, right? It's going to bring you that conviction, that clarity, and that strength of purpose, right? And confidence that we see in the King of Swords. Because it feels to me like if you do this work or do that, work on that intention, it's going to put you into that place where you have all the strength and clarity that we see in that King of Swords.
Wonderful. Thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying. Jo sharing her cards. Another one with the Empress first.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
And the second was the Hermit. And the third was another sword, Ace of Swords.
Nice.
Swords at the end.
Nice. So, yeah, I mean, that's an interesting journey, right? Wanting to be the empress who is so at ease and so surrounded by beauty and comforts, right? But no, it's the hermit, right? That's going to help you out, right? So, I think that's really interesting. So, maybe having to embrace that hermit's cave to do whatever it is that you need to do. The Empress will come later, right? With the Ace of Swords, we have, yes, victory, truth. You're on totally aligned with your purpose. But I don't know how comfortable that hermit will feel. But embrace it, right? Because it's going to lead you to the comfort we see in the Empress. But
Mm,
yeah, I like that journey.
very much. And the Hermit and the Ace of Swords, I think, is very much about the mental writing,
Yeah,
teaching,
yeah,
that side of
yeah.
things.
Hmm.
bringing the Empress through. It's interesting, isn't it, how we pick things like the Empress or things like that, and how we go on this other journey. Again, the intentions
Yes.
and how they come out. Alice is saying she'd be happy to help you with your book. Just
Okay, thank
lovely.
you, my dear. I'll call you up. I'll take you up on that.
Again, Alice picked the Empress to begin
Okay, I
with.
see a theme going on here. Wow.
There really is. And it's also interesting how we're ending on a lot of the swords, because then we've got
Yes.
second the Five of
Yeah,
Wands,
look at
so more
that.
fire. And then the Queen of Swords was the third, and drum roll, the Magician. So there's an extra
Hmm.
one there. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. And Lisa is saying, just notice something else in the King of Swords. The butterflies on the back of the chair look like the
Mm,
smiling hips. So I interpret this as changing direction and support. Wow.
interesting. I love
Yeah.
that.
It's great that you're really noticing the nuances in the pictures and they're speaking to you.
Yes,
That's
I love
fantastic.
that. Mhm.
Esther is saying, I chose the Ten of Cups as according with the imagery. I've been longing for that
Mm,
house, that enjoyment that I'm used to and missed so much. Then the
mm,
universe manifested by given pulled the Ace of Wands, and I felt that aces are so quick. And the next card I pulled was the Six of Pentacles. So I'm assuming that something will be given, and finally, how this will impact manifest in
mm.
the future. And the card is the Hermit. Yes, he is my light, as I've been feeling so lost in the process. And achieving the Hermit energy will definitely help me to focus on my path light. Thank you for this reading.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing
Mm.
that. Oh, lovely.
Lots of people sharing their cards, which is
Yeah,
really,
my goodness.
really
Yeah,
lovely.
lovely.
Um, and I don't know if we're going to get through all of that. So
No,
I'm
there's
going
a
to
lot here, my dear.
There is a lot. So I'm going to just look through and see if there's any specific questions now to finish off.
Okay.
Okay. Katrina says, is an astrological chart necklace a talisman? I make and have them for my birth date, but also know they can be made around a special date for manifesting or honoring a special energy.
Oh, beautiful. That's pretty. I'm just looking at her comment here too. Yeah, so of course, like, I'm not an astrologer, so I can't speak to everything there, but it sounds to me like that sounds like an amazing talisman, right? So it's the same, it's a little bit different because like it goes into that amulet territory there a little bit too, where you're working with a particular symbol, right? Or something that, like the talismans that I'm creating are really personal, right? Like based on the work that we're doing here. But that sounds fascinating, Katrina. Yeah. So if you're having it, yeah, made on a special day to manifest or honor a special energy, that sounds like a talisman to me. Because I could
Mm,
see an amulet as well. Like if you're having something coming up that was a potential challenge that you wanted to protect or ward off, then I could see that going into amulet territory there as well. Interesting.
mm,
Thanks, Katrina.
really interesting. Angelica is saying, which spread will be best to get closer to the intention to manifest when I am not sure?
That's a big question. Yeah.
And
Um, I mean, I my go-to advice with spreads is whenever possible, create your own.
agreed.
Right? Because then it's going to exactly fit the situation. You're not
Yeah,
trying to force it into some other structure. So, short answer, I'd say make your own, my dear.
absolutely. Okay, so Christina is saying, hi, Laurie. Thank you for sharing your two passions with us. After the years of working with tarot, what is it about tarot that still remains the biggest mystery to you about them? And what puzzles you the most? We're in the big questions now.
Oh my God. What short answer can I give there, right? I mean, the tarot itself is still a huge mystery. The tarot itself is the big mystery, right? How
Mhm,
can it continue to expand and grow? How can we never learn everything about it? You know, it connects us to something that's bigger than ourselves. How can we really know that? Like, that's the big mystery. The tarot is the mystery of life, right? So, that's all
mhm,
I'm saying is that it is a constantly unfolding mystery to me
mhm,
how wonderful
mhm,
these cards work, you know. And
mhm,
puzzling, I mean, I don't know, my dear. It's like, um, I don't know. I guess so. Like a lot of my students ask me questions about particular things that they have difficulty with, you know. I think what puzzles me the most is it ties into that big mystery of like, um, I don't know. I guess just how can we really fully use the cards to help us achieve our goals and dreams? You know, like I'm always asking that question, how can I take it further, right? Where it goes beyond just a very short-sighted or mundane question, like how can it open up the mysteries of the universe to us? So I'm still working on expanding that. But that, thanks, Christina. That's, I'm going to go and puzzle and muse over those big questions there. Those are
Well,
big.
yeah. I mean, every card is like a universe in itself, isn't it?
Yeah,
So,
there's a lot of mystery there, but wonderful, intriguing, not overwhelming, wonderful, intriguing mysteries that I just want to keep exploring.
fantastic. Yeah, I don't think you ever get to know the tarot. It's just like
No,
you, it shows you a different thing all the time. It's
that's for
incredible.
sure.
Yeah, okay. Kirsty's saying one thing she wanted to ask. I used to wear necklaces often and stopped after a time as they would break. I assume their work was done. So we've spoken about that. Place them back into
Uh-huh.
the earth and or ocean with gratitude. Okay, so we've touched on this a little bit already. So I don't know if there's anything you want to add, but what views do you have on talismans, etc., breaking?
Mm. Yeah, so we did talk about that a little bit. I mean, that to me is they're serving their purpose.
Yeah,
And I don't want to talk about it too much either, but there is something, part of the practice too is what do you do with a talisman when you've achieved your goal, right? You know, like when that, if you've created a talisman for a particular purpose, then when that purpose is achieved, you may want to release that talisman, like, you know, like deconsecrate it or release it, right? Like some people destroy them, right? Like they, if it's something you can burn, they burn, or they bury it, or they destroy it. I can't bring myself to do that, but I might just do a little ritual where I'm thanking the talisman for the work that it did for me, thanking and releasing and clearing. Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're getting to time, and so I'm going to
Yeah.
try and wrap up with two or three very quick ones, and then we'll get into the offers. And anybody that
Yeah.
stayed live throughout will also get your amazing meditation and
Lovely. Thank you.
as well on magic stuff with the cards, so it fits very well.
Great.
And yeah, so the offers
Maybe.
will come up in a moment as well. So just wrapping up quickly, we've got so many. I'm sorry we can't get through all of them, but Sherry's asking. I need to have the courage to cut away unneeded things, and I wasn't sure which card to represent that. I chose the Emperor, but it doesn't feel right. Any suggestions?
Good question. And that's interesting because I could see the Emperor for the courage, right? Like the courage. But I think if you want to cut away unneeded things, then why not a swords card? You know, why not that Queen of Swords, where she has that sword that just cuts through all the crap, right? I might go with her because she also has courage. And of course, the Death card is all about not necessarily cutting away, but being able to release, shed your skin, get rid of what no longer serves, right? So that's a big card, depending on how that resonates with you. But I would say Death would work. But also, I love the idea of Queen of Swords. Why not? You're going to cut away what's not needed and have the clarity and the courage to do that.
Love it. Last one.
Okay.
Sylvie says, I chose the Devil card as my action card as I will be leaving a relationship. Can you explain all the meanings in terms of action?
Okay, so that was that second card that came up, I guess, in the position of action. Wow, isn't that interesting that it comes up in leaving a relationship? Yeah, because I mean, to me, the devil is all about having clarity that the situation is not working for you, you know, that it's gone into a challenging place, and having the courage and the determination to take that action of leaving it, right? So those chains that they're wearing are really loose. You got to make the effort and take it off, right? So I would think, how does that get, like, not to get too much further with this, but even like actions, think about practical stuff. If you're leaving that relationship, what do you need to do on a practical level? What's going to release you from it? Because the devil is that inner work, right? Like being able to see the situation for what it is and it's time to get out of it. But I would think about on a practical level too, what do you need to do to release yourself from whatever's chaining you to that person? And so that's all I'll say.
Beautiful. Excellent. Lovely. Thank you so much. for everyone that's been here, and the amount that people have put in the chat box. And
Yeah,
sorry I
thank you
didn't
so
get through
much.
all of
Yeah.
it. It's, obviously a very interesting topic. And if they want to connect with you further, I mean, I'm
Yes.
going to put your offer up now.
Great.
And so Laurie has an offer going on, and I'm just putting that up for you guys. It's only available through this webinar. Okay, so what I would do, even if you're not sure, is I would just press click here so that you've got the page open,
That's right. Good.
and it stays open. Okay, because it's 25% off your magical talisman. So does that mean you make the talisman for them and send them out?
Yeah, and so I haven't launched this publicly. So right now this package is only available for everyone who's here right now. And so
Right.
it's essentially like what I'm taking them through this whole process. So it starts with a consultation where we talk about what it is that, the basic idea of what you want to achieve. Then I select, with consultation with the person, I select the most appropriate precious gemstone or talisman to work for their purpose. Then we do an hour reading together, either in Toronto if you're in Toronto or online if you're not. And I take them through that process of, the tarot reading, creating the affirmation, and then we do a ritual together where we lock it in the talisman. So if you're in Toronto, of course, we can do that all in person. And if you're not, then after we've consulted and chosen your talisman, I would mail it to you. And when you receive it, then we do that. So you have it with you when you're doing that ritual. So it's really fun and really powerful.
Yeah, and really unique and original. And I think we've all really felt how empowering it can be to have an amulet or a talisman. So guys, if you want it, just click the click here button and then the page is going to be open. Otherwise, once the webinar ends, which it's going to do in a minute, you're not going to have it. So click here now anyway. Okay, this offer is going down in 3 seconds because there's also a couple more for you. And as I advise, just click the link in all of them. So at least you have the choice and you can think about it. Okay, after 3, this one's going 1, 2, 3, boom. Okay, so that's that one down. And then we have 2 more. Oh, and we've got somebody wanting to speak as well. I'm wondering, Katrina, can you put in the chat box what you want to speak about, lovely? Tried to click, didn't work.
Is it the link coming up in the chat box? I'm not seeing it either.
Okay. So is anybody else having any issues with that? I'll pop it back up again and check. Otherwise, I could probably, if you could get the link, Laurie, just in case. Do you have the link there that you could get in a minute?
Sure, I can do
that would be wonderful. And then we can pop it up in the chat box for people in case there is a problem with clicking it. I've just clicked it myself, actually, and it's come through fine.
Oh, great.
I've just clicked that button and it's come through fine, but I'll put it in the chat box for people just in case. Okay, so I'm just going to put it in the chat box, peeps.
Oh, great. Okay, you've got it, Tiffany.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Oh, great. Okay.
And Kirsty says it works fine.
Oh, perfect. Oh, thank you. Fantastic.
All right. So Katrina says she had to scroll down to find it. Yeah, the purchase button is a bit down the page, but it's 20% off. And for those of you that aren't in Canada, I think that and is in the UK, I think it works out around half price. So in terms of like, well, it says it's 150, it's probably about 75. Okay.
Oh, nice.
So you know.
Yeah, okay. 25% off the usual price.
Yeah. Okay. Next
Great,
one.
Perfect.
Oh, goodness me! I've just clicked the offer again for David here, but I was purchasing it instead of publishing it. Okay. So this one is the same as last week in terms of it's your 20% off ticket for the Light and Love Tarot Reading Festival, which is amazing value. Yeah, it's incredible value because it's a 3-day event this year, isn't it?
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and with the guests of honor, the great grandmothers of tarot
That's
themselves,
right. Yeah, it's
Rachel
fantastic.
Pollock and Mary Kay Greer. So it's really amazing value, particularly for 3 days, and particularly with 20% off. Again, the 20% off is only available through this webinar. So
Fantastic.
click the Get My Ticket, and then the page will come up, and then you can decide after the webinar
Yeah.
whether you want to do it
And
or not.
please come, everyone, please come to Montreal. It's going to be, what an opportunity. It's amazing.
Oh, for sure. And
Rachel
I
and
think,
Mary, oh my gosh, amazing.
yeah. And I think the fact that, you guys are showing up, showing your face and showing your energy is really, it's going to build the tribe, put it that way. It's
Definitely.
fantastic. So thank you for that. Okay, so removing offer in 3, 2, 1. Down. Last one for the day is coming up. I've been online too long. Where am I going? Okay, no, that is the right one. Okay. This says, interestingly enough, I don't know how it got available units up there, 8. I don't know how that happened. And I'm not even sure that's true. So this is, if you want to come and do my Transformational Truth of Tarot retreat, which is in Canada, I'm going to not say it right, Laurentides, which is about an hour south of Montreal. It's the next weekend after the conference. And so there we're going to be doing Transformative Tarot all weekend, where you come in and you learn a lot about yourself through the tarot.
Sounds amazing.
And we're also going to be doing a diploma. So you get the practical side and the transformational side.
Wow,
so
beautiful.
You get all of that, and you can get that and your tarot festival ticket together. And so basically, if you buy the retreat, you get your Light and Love Tarot Reading Festival conference ticket free. Okay, cool. But you have to get the solo room, this lovely picture here, to get your free ticket. The other places, there is 5 of them, and they are shared. And there's one solo room left. So in other words, there's only one offer left after last week's webinar. There's one room left where you can get your conference ticket for free. Okay, that's it. So if you want it, click it. Okay, and that's here. Click to learn more, and then the information will come up and you can make your decision, because it's going down in 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1, done. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for staying on overtime, and thank you, Laurie, for staying on overtime. And thank you
my pleasure. This has been wonderful.
Wisdom. It's been beautiful. I love what you bring to the tarot. It's very sacred and very honoring and very empowering for the tarot and for the person. So thank you very much for sharing that.
Thank you. My pleasure. Okay. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. And next week we will be back with Tara Green and your soul genius.
She's great. I love her. She's great.
Excellent.
Don't miss that one. Yeah.
Doing a lot about astrology, archetypes, and numerology. So
she's
to work out our path. Excellent. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Laurie. I'll see you at the Light and Love Tarot Reading Festival.
Can't wait.
Hopefully we'll see others there too.
Yeah, please come.
Thanks again. Bye, everyone. Bye, Laurie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.